Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki. Hare Krishna. Thank you all, dear devotees, for very kindly coming on a long weekend Sunday feast. Most often we will find if it's a long weekend, people end up going to different places, booking Airbnb, going for movies, Hollywood, Bollywood, action heroes. But leaving all that, all of you all have come to a temple. So that itself is commendable. I think all of you all have to congratulate yourself. You had the option of going to a movie. You had the option of booking Airbnbs and going out for parties. But leaving all that, you have come to a temple. And the most fascinating thing is youth are also there. Most often we'll find that maybe the adults will do it, but the youth are into different things which are not devotional. But the youth are here. So it's very encouraging personally for me, and I think for all the devotees present here. Thank you very much for coming, inspiring me and motivating me with your kind presence. I don't know what I'm going to speak. It's always very nervous when you see so many people around. The things that you have planned, by the time you sit here, वो सब evaporate हो जाता है. You forget everything. So please kindly bear with me if something evaporates between the discussion. You just take the essence. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. For those who are not aware, Srila Prabhupada is the founder of this ISKCON movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So his guru, his name is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was there in Nadia or Mayapur, West Bengal, he started a magazine called as the Nadia Prakash. You see in India, you have Times of India, Indian Express. Here you will have New York Times and things like that. Now these newspapers that are there around, they talk about things of this world. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur thought, why not I start something similar which talks about God? Same concept, but spiritualizing it. So he started a magazine, daily magazine called as Nadia Prakash in Nadia. So every single day, the magazine was given to each and every person in different homes. Now one person, when he got to know about this, he went to Saraswati Thakur and said, you're publishing Nadia Prakash, that is okay. But do you have that much content about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you can publish every single day, 365 days for lifetime together? Do we have that much content? And when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur heard, he said, in fact, I can publish every minute. But because you don't have the ability and taste to read it every minute, for your satisfaction, I'm doing it once a day. Otherwise, I can do every minute practically. You don't have taste and you don't have interest. So for your consideration, I am doing it once a day. But otherwise, Mahaprabhu's pastimes as such, it's like an ocean. Chaitanya Chandrera Lila Aghad Gambhir Praveshe Karite Nare Sparshe Rahitir. The pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're like an ocean. Wide, deep ocean. Which means there is so much content about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so much learning, so much pastimes. One time one person came to Srila Prabhupada. So we spoke about his guru. Now we are coming to the main personality. One time one person came to Prabhupada and asked, what is the purpose of this world? One reporter came and asked, what is the purpose of this world? So Srila Prabhupada, he said, for enjoyment. So the reporter became very happy, started smiling. Prabhupada said, not your enjoyment, Krishna's enjoyment. He said, not your enjoyment, for Krishna's enjoyment. So when the Supreme Lord comes down, he comes down to enjoy the sweetness of his devotees. How great his devotees are, that can be shown to the world only when the Lord comes down. If Narsinghadev had not come down, how will the world know about Prahlad Maharaj's greatness? If Mahavishnu had not come down, how will the world know about Dhruv Maharaj's greatness? If the Supreme Lord had not come down, how will the world know about Gajendra's greatness? So the Lord comes down for two reasons: to glorify his devotees, while at the same time to taste their sweetness, how much they love me. So just like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he started the daily magazine called Nadiya Prakash. Similarly, Prabhupada emphasized on printing books and distributing books. Prabhupada would always say, as much as possible, read my books and distribute my books. Srila Prabhupada was on his way to Australia, Melbourne, Australia, and his servant was there along with him. So when Prabhupada was going to Australia, Prabhupada asked his servant, there are 17 books that are still not published. 17 books I have commented, but they're still not published. What is the person doing? So Prabhupada's disciple at that time, who was handling this, was Rameshwar Prabhu. So this letter went to him, to Rameshwar Prabhu. What are you doing? 17 books are pending. What are you doing? So when Rameshwar Prabhu got to know, he didn't know how serious the problem was. Prabhupada translated. Commentary was done. Books are not getting published, and Prabhupada has no answer to why it's not getting published. So Prabhupada went to Australia, went to Hawaii, and he still didn't get an answer. So Prabhupada called a GBC meeting in Los Angeles, and he called all of his disciples, sannyasis, brahmacharis, grahasthas, everyone. And the agenda was this: why books are not being published? So Prabhupada sat his arrival address, Mayapur. And during the class, Prabhupada said, my spiritual master would always tell me, if you get money, print books. If at all you get money, print books. So Prabhupada in that arrival address was saying, that is why I am requesting, where are the books? Where are the books? Where are the books? Why are the books not being published? So now Rameshwar Prabhu understood that, I think it is little serious. Prabhupada is little angry. And he has called so many people. I think it is little serious. So next day morning walk, Prabhupada went, Venice Beach. And Prabhupada was walking. Midway, Prabhupada just stopped, put his cane down, looked at Rameshwar Prabhu and said, so, what have you thought? Where are my books? So Prabhupada didn't give any breathing space. Previous day evening was the class where he asked for the books. Next day morning, again, where are my books? Now, till this time, Rameshwar Prabhu had thought of an answer. So when Prabhupada asked this question, Rameshwar Prabhu said, Prabhupada, we have thought of a plan. So at that time, they were taking 4 months to print one book. So he thought to himself, even if I speed up, let me double the speed. So in 2 months, I can finish one book. Even if I double it, in 1 month, I can finish one book. So he told Prabhupada, our plan, master plan, one book per month. So Prabhupada was walking. And Prabhupada had one book, 1 month, which means 17 books, 17 months. Prabhupada looked at him and said, no, I want 17 books in 2 months. So Rameshwar Prabhu thought he heard it wrong. So he said, 17 books, how much time, Prabhupada? Prabhupada said 2 months, 60 days, 17 books. He said, Prabhupada, that's impossible. Right now we are taking 4 months for one book. 17 books in 2 months? Not possible. Srila Prabhupada said, impossible? Well, impossible is a word in Fool's Dictionary. Srila Prabhupada said, I am not asking you. I am instructing you. 17 books, 2 months. I want it. So now Rameshwar Prabhu thought, now his game is up. Now you cannot do anything. Your spiritual master is asking this. So he said, yes, Prabhupada. 17 books in 2 months. And for the next 2 months, the disciples of Prabhupada in Tennessee, they went to a printing press. In 2 months, literally, they gave up sleep. Every single day they were printing. And in 60 days, Prabhujis, Matajis, Brahmacharis all came together and printed 17 books in 2 months, of which 9 books were Chaitanya Charitamrita. This Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that we have was printed in 60 days, less than 60 days. And so many devotees came together. Grahastas, Prabhujis, male, female, brahmacharis. I was at one place and one Grahasta was telling me, one married Prabhuji was telling me, अब क्या पता वो गृहस्थ से परेशान हो गए थे मुझे पता नहीं, but he was telling me, he said, Prabhuji, marriage is a relationship where one person is always right and the other person is called husband. He said marriage is a relationship, one person is always right, another is called husband. But here during Prabhupada's time, everyone came together unanimously to serve Prabhupada in printing his books. So Prabhupada would always stress on book distribution because the heart is filled with darkness and it's only the torchlight of Prabhupada's books that can illuminate it. Srila Prabhupada was once there in a car and they saw a big McDonald's billboard. And that McDonald's billboard, it read, 1 million burgers sold. Prabhupada saw that and started laughing. He said, yes, 1 million people gone to hell. And Srila Prabhupada said, till the time you don't establish a relationship with Krishna, the purpose of human life is lost. Another time, Prabhupada was there in a car and there was another billboard. There was a traffic jam. So there was another billboard and it said, road works ahead. Temporary inconvenience, permanent solution. Prabhupada saw that and started laughing. He said, no, material world means temporary solution, permanent inconvenience. It's the other way around. There is always anxiety, always problem. But these books of Prabhupada are such that it illuminates the hearts. The darkness of the heart, which is devoid of the Supreme Lord, can be illuminated by studying Prabhupada's books. And this is why Prabhupada would always emphasize, where are my books? Distribute my books, distribute my books. One time, one disciple from Europe, he wrote a letter to Prabhupada. And he said, Prabhupada, here the book distribution is going wonderful. Fantastic records. So Prabhupada said, Acha, what do you do there? So he said, Prabhupada, we have a nice strategy. First, we keep a table of prasadam. Already few devotees are smiling. First, we keep a table of prasadam. And this prasadam is free. In ISKCON temple, you go, prasadam is always free. So first, we keep a plate of prasadam. They come and they have a plate of prasadam in their hand. And now they come next to a bookstall. Now, because they have a plate of prasadam in their hand and it's a free plate of prasadam, now they see the books and now they're inspired to buy the books. So first we give them prasadam and now when their heart is convinced, then we give them books. Prabhupada said, wonderful, this is my mission. Their hand should be full and their pocket should be empty. He said, this is my mission. Hand should be full, pocket should be empty. In a very hilarious way. So Prabhupada would always emphasize, distribute my books and study my books. Another time Prabhupada was there in his room and one disciple asked Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, what if someone is doing Sankirtan and he leaves his body? What will be his destination? Those were the days they would ask various questions to Prabhupada. So if someone is doing Sankirtan and they leave their body, what will be their destination? Kya gati prapt hogi to that person? So Srila Prabhupada said, well, anta kalecha maam eva smaran muktva kalevaram. If during Sankirtan you're remembering Krishna, you get Krishna. But during Sankirtan, if you're remembering Shah Rukh Khan, then you know your destination, where you're going. So what you're thinking is very important. So now the disciples were not very encouraged because still there is 50-50. Even during Sankirtan, you never know whether you're getting Krishna or not. So Prabhupada saw the disciples are not feeling very encouraged. There is some uncertainty. So Prabhupada said, but I guarantee, I promise that if you are distributing my books throughout your life, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will personally come down, hold your hand and take you back home, back to Godhead. So that should serve as an inspiration. If we are desiring of going back to Krishna, where we eternally belong, which is our home, We can be happy only when we are in our home. How much ever we book an Airbnb and stay, there comes a time when you are like fed up and ab bas ghar jana hai, bahut ho gaya. Not because Airbnb is expensive, but the happiness that you get when you open your own door and go inside, that is something else. That home is where we belong, Krishna's world, the spiritual world. And till the time we are here, it is permanent inconvenience with temporary solutions. How much ever we try, all of us have tried. So many problems come. We try to have our own solution. But always we find we will get happiness for little time, but again back to square one. Again there is suffering. Again there is misery. No one wants to be born, but we are forced to be born. No one wants to be old, but we are forced to be old. No one wants to lose their teeth, denture, wrinkles, facelift, you name it. No one wants to be old, but you're forced. No one wants to be born, but you're again forced. No one wants to be diseased. How many of us desire for a COVID? No one. Oh, you desire for one? No one generally desires for one. And no one desires to die. But these are simply forced with no alternatives, absolutely. But this misery or this suffering will only end when we go back to Krishna, where there is no birth, no death, no old age, and no disease. So studying Prabhupada's books illuminates the heart. It's like the torchlight which illuminates the dark heart, which is filled right now with ignorance. In the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we were discussing about Chaitanya Charitamrita yesterday. In the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find there is a very beautiful story of a personality by the name Gopinath Patnaik. Now, Gopinath Patnaik's father was a personality by the name Bhavananda Rai. So, Bhavananda Rai, his father is Gopinath, his son is Gopinath Patnaik. Bhavananda Rai has two sons, Ramananda Rai and Gopinath Patnaik. Now, interestingly, this Gopinath Patnaik was working for the government, dealing with money. Money, brighter than sunshine, sweeter than honey. People die for money. ऐसा कोई बिरला ही होगा जो हाथ उठाए और बोले कि मेरे को पैसा नहीं चाहिए. कोई है ऐसा महापुरुष? पैसा नहीं चाहिए. No one. Everyone wants money. Right from a person being small, 5, 10, it's so much ingrained that you want money. Rupees, dollars, सबको पैसा चाहिए. Invariably, I remember, I came to America for my master's. I was living in New Jersey, I did my master's, and then I came to Seattle to work. But 99% of the students, at least the Desis, if you ask them, why you came to America? Of them, there will be no one practically who will say, मैंने पढ़ाई के लिए मैं आया. सब पैसे के लिए आए. Externally, outside, they may say, no, I came for my master's. Internally, everyone knows that they have come only for money. ना बाप बड़ा ना भैया, बेटा सबसे बड़ा रुपया. Everyone comes for this one thing, money. So Gopinath Patnaik was in charge of money, government treasurer. Now his father was a very genuine devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramananda Rai again, very good devotee. But Bhavananda Rai, who's so exalted and so clean in his character, his son Gopinath Patnaik did some fraud with money. This is Hindi mein bolte na paise se jhol. He did some misappropriate use of funds. The money that actually belonged to the government, he misappropriately used it for his own convenience. He used it for his own convenience. Now, father is very good devotee, but the son is using money for his own thing. I was at one place and one person was telling me, one child is asking the father, my dear father, Shri Ram became great by following his father, Dasharath Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj became great by not following his father, Hiranyakashipu. My dear father, what should I do? Should I follow you or not? My goodness, these kids also come up with such interesting questions, which makes sense. Sri Ram became great by following his father, Dasharath Maharaj. Prahlad became great by not following his father, Hiranyakashipu. My dear father, मैं क्या करूं? Should I follow you or not? Father is also intelligent. Desi father, right? He is also intelligent. He said, my dear son, this is not Satya Yuga nor this is Treta Yuga. This is Kali Yuga. And in Kali, it is good for both of us that we follow your mother. It's good we follow your mother. No domestic violence. घर में शांति. सुख समृद्धि घर आवे ओम जय जगदीश हरे. No tension. You see, I was recently talking to someone and they were telling me, oh, in fact, it was Ajay Govindru. I was at his place and he was telling me, many times you see the parents tell their kids, Arey, during my time, mere zamane mein, I would, even before I started, अरे मेरे जमाने में मैं मोमबत्ती रखकर पढ़ता था. I would study by keeping a candle. So the son asked the father, why you couldn't study in the morning time? You are using candle, you could have studied in the morning time also. Subah to there is sun. Why you have to use mombatti? Why you have to use candle? So the children, my goodness. Father is intelligent, bacha is shane, dead shane. That is the present generation. So Gopinath Patnaik, his father, Bhavanandar, a very good devotee. But now Gopinath Patnaik, who is a treasurer, paise mein thoda lafda ho gaya. The money that belonged to the government, he used it for his own luxury. Now the king got to know. Now what do you expect? If the king gets to know that the money that belongs to the government, if you're using, he is not going to appreciate you. He is not going to applaud. He is going to give punishment because it belongs to the government. So Maharaj Prataparudra was the king. Now he got to know about this. When he got to know, he said that, well, I want my money back. It belongs to the government and it is people's hard-earned money. So you cannot use it for your own thing. It belongs to the general mass. So now eventually, this case was handed over to Maharaj Prataparudra's older son. Maharaj Prataparudra was the king. He said, he told his son, you take care of this case. I have many other cases, you take care. Now this son, he went to Gopinath Patnaik to ask for money. So Gopinath Patnaik said, well, I don't have money, paisa to hai nahi. So he said, well, if you don't have money, then the king is going to punish you. What is the alternative? He said, well, wait a minute. I have about 10 to 12 horses. You take those horses and from that you recover your money. So this prince, he said, okay. But now, this prince had some enmity with Gopinath Patnaik. So on purpose, he gave a reduced price for the horse. And now Gopinath Patnaik did not like it because the horses were actually more expensive, but on purpose he gave a reduced price. So he became very angry. And Gopinath Patnaik started criticizing the son of the king, the prince. And as this was going on, the prince became very angry. And he went to the king and he manipulated the whole case. And he told the king, my dear king, this Gopinath Patnaik is not giving money. I asked him so much, I pleaded from him so much, but he is not ready to give anything. So if you're okay, maybe we can give a death penalty to him. Because he is not ready to repay and he has nothing. Phasi pe chada denge. So the king said, okay, whatever you feel that is right. Now this was not the truth. Gopinath Patnaik had volunteered to give 10-12 horses and he had promised that after that, Soot Samet lota dunga. I will give it back. But now the prince manipulated the whole story. Suspense, drama, action thriller. The whole story was manipulated. Now the king said, okay, you do whatever you want, whatever you feel like. Now Gopinath Patnaik here was taken for death penalty. And now as he was taken for death penalty, the devotees went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, my dear Lord, Bhavananda Rai is your devotee. Ramananda Rai is your devotee. and now their family member is having to go through this. My dear Lord, you please do something. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the whole scene, and Mahaprabhu said, what do you expect from me? What can I do? So they said, go and protect. You're Bhagavan, you can do anything. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes, but he belongs, the money that he has, it belongs to the government. And now what the king is doing is correct. That money belongs to the government. And what the king is doing is perfect, or the prince is doing is perfect. So how can I interfere? What can I do? And now they were pleading to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not ready to do anything. And while this was going on, Gopinath Patnaik, in his mind, he thought to himself, this is the state, I cannot do anything. What can I do? There is death penalty there. I'm already being taken. I cannot do anything. But there is one thing at this point I can do. Because he was a treasurer, he was in money, he was not very close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like the way Ramananda Rai was, or Bhavananda Rai was. So now, like you see, sometimes they say, jab maar padti hai tab akal tikhane aati hai. When something goes wrong, that's when the senses come to track. So now Gopinath Patnaik thought to himself, all my life I didn't respect Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or worship him. But it's never too late. It's never too late. He thought to himself, let me at least in my mind offer obeisances. At least in my mind, let me offer obeisances. So in his mind, he offered obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he offered obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mind, at that time, one associate of the king, he went to the king and he said, my dear king, why are you giving death penalty to him? He only owes you some money. And he's promising that he will give the money back to you. So what is his fault? So when Maharaj Prataparudra heard this, the king heard this, now he didn't know the whole picture. He didn't know the whole picture. So when he got to know, he thought, hey, wait a minute. If he has horses and he's going to give me the horses, why give him a death penalty? He had no idea that his own son, the prince, had manipulated the whole story. Now here, look at the Supreme Lord's mercy. Here Gopinath Patnaik is closing his eyes and mentally, not even physical, mentally is offering obeisances, and there Maharaj Prataparudra gives an order. Release him. Release him. If he is going to give horses back to me and then he's going to give the money back, release him. And Gopinath Patnaik, who was almost about to be hanged, the noose was there on his neck, offers obeisances mentally, and his life is saved. And guess what? It doesn't end here. Maharaj Prataparudra thinks to himself, why did he do this? Why did he steal money? Maybe he feels the salary that I give is not appropriate. So let me do one thing. Let me double his salary. No layoff. No layoff. We are living in a time when sabke dimag mein bas ek hi hai. Will I be the next? All the companies are in such a phase. Will I be the next? Here Gopinath Patnaik, no layoff. Promotion. Double the pay. Along with the perks. 401k. Insurance. Sab kuch saath saath mil gaya. Look at the mercy of the Supreme Lord, dear devotees. He who stole money from the government is about to be hanged, now offers obeisances mentally, gets released, gets a pay hike, no layoff, and now Maharaj Prataparudra loves and respects him way more than before. All this by offering mental obeisances. Now you can imagine what will happen if you offer obeisances physically to Radha Golokanan. यदि मन में ही दंडवत ये साक्षात नमन करते हुए, if by offering obeisances in the mind, this is what you get. If by offering mental obeisances you get a pay hike, it's not a bad deal to offer obeisances, right? If you're not going to be laid off and you're going to get pay hike, we may as well do it. After the class, यदि सब एक एक दंडवत दे और पैसा यदि बढ़ जाए तो बुराई क्या है? We may or may not agree that Golokanand is there, but at least for money, if the money is going to be doubled and we are going to get a promotion, why not offer an obeisance? So Gopinath Patnaik gets saved by just offering his heart, his mind, his body to the Supreme Lord. So many times we find what we plan, things don't work out that way. We plan so many things. ऐसा होना चाहिए, ये नहीं हुआ तो वो नहीं हुआ तो ये. But most often we find things don't work the way we want. This is a famous English saying, man proposes, God disposes. Not that he likes to dispose, but he disposes it because he has a better plan for us. One time Yamaraj is that personality who invites everyone to hell with a red carpet. He gives a red carpet entry to hell. So Yamaraj one time he went to meet Jagannath. So when he went to meet Jagannath, he was walking and he saw Garuda. Garuda was sitting up, the eagle, the bird. So he saw Garuda and he offered his obeisances to Garuda. And he went little ahead and there was one sparrow sitting. So Yamaraj was looking at this sparrow for a long time. Now it's a very deadly thing. If Yamaraj is looking at you for such a long time, you know what's coming up. Your game is almost done. The game is almost done. You may love the glance of everyone except one personality, Yamaraj. Sabki nazar pyari hai Yamaraj ko chhodkar. If he looks at you for good amount of time, you know your game is up. So now Yamaraj was looking at this sparrow for a long time. Garuda from distance was seeing, hey, this guy is seeing at this sparrow for a long time. Seems like he has some plan. So now Yamaraj sees and then goes inside to take darshan of Jagannath. And he's speaking to Jagannath. While this was going on, Garuda thinks to himself, seems like Yamaraj has some plan for sparrow. And Yamaraj has only one plan. You know what it is. Self-explanatory. That plan which no one likes, but we are forced upon. So Garuda understands that seems like Yamaraj has some plan. Let me try to change the plan. He held the sparrow in his beak and flew all the way to Mansarovar. And in Mansarovar, there was a tree. And in the tree, there was one small hole. You see, woodpeckers normally peck and they make a hole. So he kept the sparrow. Garuda kept the sparrow in that hole. And he came back. While he came back, our Yamarajji comes out after taking darshan. And he is looking around. So Garuda looks and says, are you looking for something? Kuch kho gaya? Are you looking for something? And Yamaraj says, yeah, there was one sparrow. I don't know where it went. There was one sparrow here. So Garuda said, what happened? Why are you looking for that sparrow? And Yamaraj said, according to my calculation, at this time, the sparrow should have died at Mansarovar. I don't know how it was here. Garuda thought, Hare Krishna. It was peaceful here. I made my plan, took it there, and udhar jaake Gaur Premanande ho gaya. Man proposes, God disposes. We make our plan, things changed. Things may change for good. For the case of Gopinath Patnaik, things changed completely for good. So our plans may not necessarily always work. And this is primarily what Srila Prabhupada teaches. That how every moment that we have, every second that we have, we can use it in devotional service, in worshipping the Supreme Lord. One time one person came to Prabhupada, Prabhupada's disciple in fact. Prabhupada's disciple. Maybe we can push ahead so if devotees are coming from behind. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the Bhakti Center, I remember when I was there in Manhattan, when devotees push ahead, so there it's filled with all Americans. So now just to impress them, we would call this as a sliding yoga. Because many times they're impressed with the word yoga. So to impress them, we would say just do the sliding yoga. So they were convinced that this is one form of yoga and they would slide ahead. So yes, we were saying that one time, one disciple came to Srila Prabhupada and he told Srila Prabhupada, my dear Prabhupada, lifetime after lifetime, I want to distribute your books. Prabhupada said, I am writing this book so that you don't come to this world, not that you stay here and keep distributing again and again. Prabhupada said, Are Baba, I am distributing books so that you don't come back, not that you stay here and keep distributing again and again. Then Prabhupada said, but the sentiment is very good that you want to serve your spiritual master. It's a good sentiment that you want to serve, but not that you want to keep staying here again and again and keep distributing books. Books are meant to philosophically convince us that our real home is in the spiritual world with Radha and Krishna, with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the books of Prabhupada are very, very important. Prabhupada would call them as the time bomb. You don't know where they will land and where they will explode. Not in the literal sense, but how they can change or transform lives. So we find that in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, as we are discussing from yesterday, we discussed about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu yesterday. We are still continuing on this theme. We will be continuing on this theme even tomorrow. And I think till Gaura Purnima ends, every speaker who comes is going to speak on this theme. Either it's going to be Nityananda Prabhu or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if not for both of them, it's going to be their associates like Lochandas Thakur, Jayadev Goswami, and so many others. So we are talking about Gopinath Patnaik's story. And this reminds me, Srila Prabhupada had a very, very dear disciple by the name Jayananda Prabhu. Very interesting personality. Yesterday we spoke very briefly about him. So I thought we can go a little more in depth today. Jayananda Prabhu was a very, very versatile person. A mechanical engineer from Ohio State University in the 1970s. Very qualified. Very handy. He could do electrician work, plumbing work. He could fix Rath Yatra carts. He could repair cars. He was the temple president of San Francisco Temple. Jack of all trades. Could do absolutely everything and anything. Now he was working in a 9-to-5 job. Probably like most of us. How many IT guys here? Many. In this, how many Telugus? Telugu. It's somehow, I don't know what the commonality is, but wherever you go, US has become such that day is not far. Telugu is going to become the second national language. United States of Andhra Pradesh. And another thing you will find, wherever IT is there, Telugus will be there. Like Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, wherever Krishna is there, victory is guaranteed. Likewise, wherever IT is there, Telugu is guaranteed. And I say this, and I was confident that Telugus will be there because I come from Seattle. And it's almost like a tech hub. You have the Microsoft headquarters and Facebook, Google, and so many big companies are there. And 99% of the ISKCON temple in Seattle is filled with Telugus. And sometimes I have a tough time because I'm not a Telugu. Two Telugus come together and naturally start speaking in Telugu as if that's like the first language. And I have a big question mark on my face. I am scratching my head. Kya chalu hai? And it's expected that you should know Telugu. I remember when I was speaking to one devotee there. So they were speaking in Telugu. So I said, can you speak in English? Like I'm not able to understand. Or at least Hindi. So he said, why don't you learn Telugu? And he said it with such confidence. I said, okay, Prabhuji. उनको मना करने के लिए डर लग रहा था. Nothing against Telugus. All glories to all Telugus. But wherever ITs are there, Telugus will be there. So I lost the track. What was I saying? Oh yes, we are talking about Jayananda Prabhu. So Jayananda Prabhu, he was working a 9-to-5 job. And now he was thinking to himself, if I have to serve Prabhupada, this 9-to-5 job may not work because I need to serve him full time. And this 9-to-5 job is taking a lot of time from my daily schedule. So he thought to himself, I need a job where I am the boss. Man marzi ka malik. Where I am the boss. No one can say anything. Now, what job will you find where you're the boss? Of course, if you have your own business, that's a different thing. Now, we are talking about the 1970s. And Jayananda Prabhu is in his 20s. So he decided to drive a taxi, a cab. Now, let me remind you, mechanical engineer, Ohio State University, driving a taxi. Why? To serve Prabhupada. Because most of Prabhupada's disciples had left family life. So Jayananda Prabhu thought to himself, I am qualified. So if I can do something where I can get some money for my spiritual master, it will help him spread Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So he decided to drive taxi. And every single day he would drive taxi for hours together. Night time, 2 o'clock, he would come back to the temple. Morning 3:30, he would be there in the temple for his chanting. Attend Mangalarti, attend Tulsi Arti, Shikshashtakam prayers. Before Brahma Muhurta, finish 16 rounds. Then make Rath Yatra carts. Do the temple president activities. And when all this is done, oh yes, mob the temple. He would mob the temple single-handedly. When all this is done, back to taxi, Uber, Lyft, back to his taxi services. Of course, those days Uber and Lyft may not have been there, but some taxi service. So he would go back, and this went on for many, many hours together, many days. And he had only one pair of dress, blue trouser and one white t-shirt. So much so that over a period of time, they got so worn out that even the underarms of the t-shirt were completely torn. So the devotees told Jayananda Prabhu, why don't you go and buy a new pair of clothing? So he said, no, this is okay. I will wear this. He said, Arey, you're driving taxi, and if your clothes are torn, who will sit in our taxi? Who will sit in our taxi if the person has torn clothes? It doesn't look good. So why don't you buy new? So he said, no, I will wear dhoti kurta and drive. So the devotees said, now dear devotees, this is 1970. Who will sit in your taxi if the person driving is having dhoti kurta? Kaun betega? No one will sit in your taxi. So they told him that this is not practical. You better go to a mall and buy new pair of clothes. And he was very, very reluctant. Very, very reluctant. Finally, they convinced him and took him to a mall. Macy's. Not Macy's, but some mall. They took him to a mall. And there he went to the section where the clothing was the cheapest. Sasta, Sundar, Tikau. Cheapest clothing. So he went to that aisle. And the t-shirt was $10, the trouser was $10, new one. He said, you know what? I think I can fix the t-shirt. Let me just buy a new pair of trousers. It's only $10 each, $20. Not very expensive. So the devotee said, no, why don't you buy a new t-shirt? New t-shirt, new trouser. He said, no, this is Prabhupada's money. How can I use it? This money belongs to Prabhupada. It belongs to ISKCON. How can I use it for myself? He is the person who is earning money and giving it to the San Francisco temple. There was no one else earning. So he is the person who is earning. But still, when it came for one t-shirt, he had so much thoughts that he was not willing to buy. Now let's go back to Gopinath Patnaik. Same story. Same story. Gopinath Patnaik has money. Jayananda Prabhu has money. Gopinath Patnaik uses that money for his own sense gratification. Jayananda Prabhu is reluctant to use money for himself, which in turn is going to serve Prabhupada. Complete difference. Complete difference. And how do you get this understanding that what is right, what is wrong? By studying Prabhupada's books. Jayananda Prabhu has read Gopinath Patnaik's story and understood the mistake that Gopinath Patnaik made, only to realize that I shouldn't be making that mistake. So now finally, he was so reluctant even to buy a trouser. T-shirt to pahli nikal gaya. Now he was so reluctant even to buy a trouser that he started crying there in the aisle. That this is Prabhupada's money. How can I use it for myself? What will Prabhupada think? So finally, devotees convinced him. Let's do one thing. Let's shoplift. These stunts are performed by expert professionals. Please do not try it at home. They decided to shoplift. Please don't go around saying Arjun Sakhā Prabhu said in ISKCON North Carolina Sunday feast that you can shoplift. That is not what I am saying. Jayananda Prabhu, when he had no option, they thought, let's shoplift. Now this is a felony. You can't do this in America. India mein to sab kuch chalta hai. That's a different thing. India mein even, I was talking to Ujjwal Prabhu and we were discussing in India, he was asking me whether you have a license, car license in America. I said, well, no, I know to drive, but I don't have a license yet. And then both of us pretty much at the same time, we laughed around and said, had it been India, we can give 100 rupees and we can get a license, even without giving a driving test. Apne desh mein to sab chalta hai. So here, they decided to shoplift and now it's a felony. You can't do that in America. So now they decided to tuck the trouser under his t-shirt. And now, as they were going out, it started beeping. It started beeping. Now the security officers held Jayananda Prabhu's hand. And when they saw, it was a new pair of clothing, new pair of trouser. So they told Jayananda Prabhu that this is illegal in America. You can't do this. This is a felony. So now he was taken to the court. He was taken to a court. It became a court case because the supermarket owner, he made a court case against Jayananda Prabhu. So courtroom was there. Jayananda Prabhu was standing. It's almost like a Bollywood scene. Yes, my dear Lord. Order, order. So on and so forth. So Jayananda Prabhu was standing and the judge, he asked, do you plead guilty? He said, yes, I plead guilty. Do you want someone to represent you? He said, no, I will represent myself. So they asked why? He said, it is Prabhupada's money. So devotee said, Are Baba, use money at least here. It is to protect your life. This money will be valuable, use for yourself. He said, no, this is Prabhupada's money. I will not use it for myself. I said, okay. So the judge said, you plead guilty. He said, yes. So the judge said, I have a question. You look like a gentleman. Why did you shoplift? Why did you do such an activity? He said, no, I am not a gentleman. I plead guilty. Give me punishment. He said, no, you are an engineer. You are a mechanical engineer, which means you're qualified. So why are you shoplifting? Why are you stealing? What's the necessity? And when Jayananda Prabhu heard this, tears started flowing from his eyes like Ganga. Jayananda Prabhu said, my spiritual master, when he came to America, he came with 40 rupees in his pocket. In that time, 40 rupees was about $7. Dear devotees, what is $7? Peanuts, nothing. He said, my spiritual master came to this country with 40 rupees. He came in a cargo ship because he couldn't afford even a normal ship ticket. What to speak of a plane ticket? In the cargo ship, he had multiple heart attacks. In the cargo ship, he had multiple heart attacks. For 10 days, Prabhupada did not eat anything. For the first 10 days when he was there in the cargo ship, Prabhupada did not eat anything. It's only when they reached Turkey and Captain Pandya got down and brought an electric cooker, did Prabhupada had a first grain of morsel. For 10 days, Prabhupada fasted for all of us, dear devotees. He did not eat anything. It's only when they reached Turkey and Captain Pandya got down and got an electric cooker, that's when Prabhupada cooked his first meal. Just living on liquids. Now, Jayananda Prabhu is telling this in a courtroom to the judge. My spiritual master, when he came to America, he had no GPS. He did not know whether to go left or right. He did not have winter clothes. Dear devotees, this is Boston Harbor, September. And it's freezing. For those devotees who have been to Boston during winters, you know what I'm talking about, how cold it gets. September of 1965, a 70-year-old person comes to America with no contacts, no winter clothes, no mobile phone, no money, doesn't know whether to go left or right, comes in a cargo ship with multiple heart attacks. And now is striving every single day to make sure that the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can be spread in every town and village. Jayananda Prabhu said, my dear Lord, now you tell me, when he is in need of money to spread Mahaprabhu's mission, how can I use that money for myself? How can I use it for myself? He is struggling every single day, not even having anything to eat in the first 10 days. How can I use it for myself? And as Jayananda Prabhu was saying this, the judge had tears in her eyes. I am not making it up. This is a real story. The judge had tears in his eyes. The prosecutor was crying, so much so that the mall owner got up and told the judge, my dear judge, drop the charges. I take my case back. I didn't know that this is the situation he's going through. Had I known, I would have given few pair of trouser and t-shirts to him free. But I didn't know this was the story. So the charges were dropped completely. And the shop owner told Jayananda Prabhu, from next time, whenever you or anyone from the San Francisco temple want any clothing, my mall is open. Free. You can come in anytime and you can buy whatever you want. And I am ready to provide full support to your spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. So we find that two pastimes, very, very similar, whether it's Gopinath Patnaik or it is Jayananda Prabhu. Both had money. One used it for himself and was almost doomed. And other case is Jayananda Prabhu, who makes every cent count, gives every cent to Srila Prabhupada. And that is why Prabhupada was so happy when Jayananda Prabhu departed this world. Probably the only disciple, Prabhupada said that his name should be there in the Vaishnava calendar. His departure has to be celebrated. Every Rath Yatra we find, we will have Jayananda Prabhu's photo. If not for Jayananda Prabhu, no Jagannath Rath Yatra. If not for Jayananda Prabhu, no San Francisco temple. When Jayananda Prabhu got initiated, the day of his initiation, he closed his bank account. Pura bank account khali kiye. And gave $50,000 as donation to Prabhupada. That was his Guru Dakshina. $50,000. We are talking about 1970s. So I don't know how much the conversion is right now, but maybe, I don't know, 25, 30 lakhs easily. In the 1970s, $50,000 as Guru Dakshina. Not that Prabhupada asked, but so much selfless service that he gives everything to Prabhupada. While on the flip side, you have Gopinath Patnaik, who uses that money for himself and learns it the hard way. While here you have Prabhupada's disciple, Jayananda Prabhu, teaching all of us, every cent that we have should be given to the Supreme Lord. He is Lakshmi Kant. All the Lakshmi that we get is coming from him. Lakshmi is his wife. I always give this analogy that most often we find people are behind Lakshmi, but they don't want Narayan. Right? Everyone wants Lakshmi. Narayan kisi ko nahi chahiye. This is very similar to Ravana mentality. Ravana wanted Sita, didn't want Ram. Right? Ravan wanted Sita, didn't want Ram. Now, if we are similar, just looking for Lakshmi, but not wanting Narayan, this is not correct. If someone just wants the wife, but doesn't want the husband, is it correct? No. Husband and wife are always together. So, earning Lakshmi is not bad. Very good. But we should also have Narayan. When Narayan is there, Lakshmi is happy. Wherever Krishna is worshipped, Lakshmi will automatically come. Wherever Vishnu is worshipped, Lakshmi will automatically flow. Where the husband is glorified, the wife will automatically be there. So in this way, we find that these two personalities in the form of Gopinath Patnaik and Jayananda Prabhu teach us this very important principle of dovetailing every scent that we have to the Supreme Lord. With this, before I end, there is one very beautiful verse that Rupa Goswami chants. We can all chant that verse together, call and response, and then we can end. Let us all kindly repeat. Matsamo nasti papatma na paradhi cha kaschana parihare pi lajja mein kim bruve purushottama yuvatinam yatha yune यूनम चो युवतो यथा मनो में रमते तद्वन मनो में रमताम त्वयि. Srila Rupa Goswami says. Srila Rupa Goswami is explaining. Matsamo nasti papatma. There is no one as sinful as me. Na paradhi cha kaschana. My dear Lord, I have committed so many offenses. कितने सारे पाप किए. ऐसे पाप तो है जो याद भी नहीं है. कुछ कुछ याद है, कुछ कुछ याद भी नहीं है. परिहारे पि लज्जा में किम ब्रुवे पुरुषोत्तम. My dear Purushottam, my dear Krishna, how should I show my face in front of you? I have committed so much offenses and so much पाप. इतना पाप किए, मैं कैसे अपने मुख दर्शन कराऊं? इतनी लज्जा आती है. But then Rupa Goswami says, युवतीनाम यथा योनिम यूनम चो युवतो यथा. Rupa Goswami says, my dear Lord, just like a girl is naturally attracted to a boy, they don't do a PhD course, it's natural. And just like a boy is naturally attracted to a girl, mano me ramate tadvan mano me ramatam tvai. That my dear Lord, just like a girl gets naturally attracted to a boy and a boy naturally gets attracted to a girl, my dear Lord, I'm asking for only one benediction. May my mind naturally get attracted to your lotus feet, O Radha Golokananda. I'm not asking for anything. May my mind naturally be attracted to your lotus feet. So in this way, every time we come on a Sunday feast or any day we come, every time we come in front of Radha Golokanand, we can chant this prayer that, my dear Lord, I may not have qualification, but I am begging that you please accept me. Whatever faults I have, you just accept me. I have accepted you in my life. Now you please accept me. Having said this, I very humbly want to stop here and thank all the devotees for very kindly coming and encouraging me and motivating me with your presence. If I've said something which is not in line with the Siddhanta, please kindly forgive me. I'm still learning. And if there was anything that inspired us in the whole discussion, the whole and sole credit goes to Srila Prabhupada and all the wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada who are traveling around the world relentlessly, spreading the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While at the same time, I also thank the temple management. This is my last class in the temple in this visit. I thank the temple management very, very kindly for having me here. And at the same time, to all the Prabhupada disciples who are there in this area, my very, very respectful obeisances at their lotus feet. And I beg and pray that devotees offer their very kind prayers for me so that all of us can hold our hands and march our way back home, back to Godhead. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.